In case y'all are wondering why I'm wearing this t-shirt, it's because Tom Holland is Nathan Drake. So, just celebrating.
You're so happy about it.
Everyone's collective happiness about Tom Holland being Nathan Drake.
So happy.
Including me. I like Tom Holland a lot. I think he's fantastic. Gotta face the facts, and you know, the fastest way to be happy about something is to just accept it. And so I'm accepting it. That's why I'm wearing this shirt.
You're embracing
I'm embracing it. Here we got a new Rockstars video, Spider-Man No Way Home post-credit scenes and ending explained. Spoilers. So if you haven't watched Spider-Man No Way Home, what are you doing? Why are you watching this video?
Yeah, go watch the movie. And if you've managed to miss the spoilers so far and you haven't watched the movie, then you've done really well.
The most impressive thing is people getting up and walking out of the movie as soon as the credits hit. I'm like, have you not been to a Marvel movie before? Why are you leaving?
Yeah.
I wonder if anyone saw the title of this and was like, what?
there was a post-credit, there were 2 post-credit scenes, what?
Y'all, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, bell icon, all notifications, and pretty please, vote this up to let YouTube know you're enjoying what you're watching. By the by, if you didn't know, I'm Jaby Koay. This is ACHARA KIRK.
Oh, we did an intro?
No. Thank you, new Rockstars, for allowing us to react to this. Very, very much appreciated. Y'all, if you haven't subscribed to new Rockstars, there's a link in the description below if you want to click on that and give the original video an upvote. Subscribe to them from there. All right, here we go.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and Spider-Man No Way Home breaks the multiverse as savagely as it does our hearts, with so many questions remaining in the final minutes. But spoiler warning before I continue, because I am about to go deep into this movie's big twists, along with all the key stuff that happens in the final minutes of the film. Seriously, spoilers ahead.
You've been warned.
Everyone out of the room, great. Holy shit, I gotta get this off my chest. Toby and Andrew, Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock, attorney at law, Aunt May. Other villains coming through the cracks in reality, who are they? And now no one remembers Peter. He's got a new suit. Eddie Brock doesn't wipe. And to top off all of those crazy thoughts deafening my brain while other bullies outside the AMC were like, hey, where was Mephisto? We got a freaking trailer for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I am gonna break that down, but first we gotta recap what just happened. And you can celebrate Spider-Man No Way Home by checking out our awesome merch at newrockstarsmerch.com. We have an amazing new limited edition shirt called Strange Entanglement, as well as a Kingpin inspired Long Live the King shirt. You can get these both at newrockstarsmerch.com. Okay, so in Spider-Man No Way Home, during Doctor Strange's spell to make people forget that Peter Parker's Spider-Man, but Peter keeps making his various exceptions for his friends and loved ones, and then everything goes to hell and Peter yells out, basically everyone who knew that I was Spider-Man before should still know. And that is the key line that provides the logic by which alternate universe characters are now warped into this reality. Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Sandman, the Lizard, Electro, they all knew who Spider-Man was. But later we learn this also includes the Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire variants of Peter Parker. I knew they were gonna be in this movie, but I still can't believe it. Which is say, technically speaking, people who knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man should also include Kirsten Dunst, Mary Jane, both Harry Osborns, those people on the train in Spider-Man 2, Captain Stacy, and a whole bunch of people at Oscorp and the Garfield continuity, but I guess those actors didn't get the coal.
Well,
that was kind. I felt kind of sad looking at that image. Irfan Khan.
Yeah, he passed away. For those of you that don't know,
no longer with us.
Yeah, so he could not get the call.
Yeah. Very, very sad.
It was explained within the film when Doctor Strange crushed that spell into the Pentagon thingy. He explains it later on in the movie. He goes, I managed to contain most of it, but a few squeaked through.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so that's my whole thing when I'm watching the movie. It's like everything we are seeing are the only things that squeak through. No one else squeaked through because it doesn't matter if they did or didn't, they would have been sent back. Unless there's like some alternate story that we're gonna see at some point where we see what's going on while they're in Tom Holland's universe. Otherwise it doesn't matter.
Or maybe they were in the loo when everyone got sent back and then they come out and they're like, where's everyone?
For 12 hours.
Yeah, why not?
But we do get to see Tom Hardy, Eddie Brock in the first post-credit scene. I didn't think that he knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man before the warp. However, the Venom symbiote probably did, since he had just been talking about his symbiote multiversal hive mind right before that warp. Okay, so anyway, Peter disagrees with Doctor Strange that the villains need to be doomed back to their deaths, so he listens to Aunt May and he tries to redeem and fix these villains. However, Green Goblin betrays him, leading to Aunt May's death, but not before she croaks, with great power, there must also be great responsibility, and there must also be a slight rewording of the classic line. Ned uses Strange's sling ring to open a portal to see Peter Parker, and just by making that wish, he finds other Peters who have warped into this reality, including Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and then Tobey Maguire, Youth Pastor Spider-Man. The banter among these two and with Peter, it's just an amazing part of the film. I'm gonna go into it in future videos, but these three nerds team up, they science the shit out of it, and one by one they fix their broken toys, and all agree agree how gross it is that Tobey's webbing comes out of his body. But during the battle on Statue of Liberty, Goblin bombs the Machina Dichotomus box, and that causes the spell to spill out around Liberty Island, and several glowing figures appear in the sky through the cracks. It's hard to tell who, but they looked like other Spidey villains. Like there was definitely one glowing outline of the Rhino. I assume Morbius was up there creeping down at us. But then as the battle wages on, Peter almost kills Goblin on the ruins of Cap's shield by restaging Cap's near beheading of Iron Man in Civil War, almost going full John Walker there. But Tobey Peter catches that Goblin glider and gives Tom Holland Peter a chance to avoid blood being on his hands. Instead, they hit Osborn with some anti-serum, so he comes to Spider Jesus.
Spider Jesus.
Do you notice in that shot, every time I see that shot, I think how unfortunate it is that Willem Dafoe's face is right by Tobey Maguire's butt.
I never thought of that. All I see in that moment is, hey, Spidey, you've exposed your back. Like, fighting 101. You don't do that.
Sure.
That's silly. But, I mean, I guess it's more important that he saves young Peter Parker from making the biggest mistake of his life.
Right. I mean, he was distracted from the fact that he was exposed. He was more so heavily focused on not letting Tom Holland fall.
Right. He should have had my Krav Maga teacher, though, because my Krav Maga teacher told me, when do you stop fighting? And I'm like, when, sir? When they can't get back up again.
When the bad guy's dead.
Well, yeah. Make sure, break their legs.
Strange completes the memory wipe spell and everyone glows back home, but at the cost of everyone in this reality forgetting that Peter is Spider-Man. That includes Ned and MJ, who don't know who Peter is. Happy Hogan doesn't know who he is. He only knows that he knew Aunt May through Spider-Man. J. Jonah Jameson no longer knows. Anyone who found out from Mysterio's broadcast no longer knows. They only know that there's a Spider-Man in this universe. Peter Parker is a nobody. However, MJ still wears Peter's Black Dahlia necklace.
Right.
And as he visits her in her donut shop, he's just happy that MJ and Ned got into MIT. And that means that MIT Vice Chancellor likely already put in a good word for MJ and Ned, but there must be no record of Peter Parker being Spider-Man, being part of their original rejection, existing anywhere. So Peter moves into an apartment that cruelly does not have a Russian landlord screaming,
"Give me rent."
You'll get your rent when you fix this damn door!
And then he swings in a new suit with brighter blues past the 30 Rock ice rink, so we'll be sure to keep an eye out for him in the Hawkeye finale. So the first post-credit scene shows Tom Hardy Eddie Brock, fresh from his reality warp into the MCU in the Venom Let There Be Carnage post-credit scene at a bar in Mexico, learning all about how the MCU is filled with superheroes. They talk about Iron Man and Hulk, Thanos, the Blip. He plans to go to New York to talk to Spider-Man, but then he glows and fades back into his Venom-verse. But he leaves one little smudge of Venom goo behind. And that goo takes one baby step toward infecting someone in the MCU. I'm wondering if it could be Flash Thompson.
That's the obvious route. That's the obvious route to go. But it is a little bit strange that that didn't also get pulled back. That little bit of Venom.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't it go with him? You know?
They can have a symbiote in this universe.
The spell missed that. It got everybody else, just not that little bit of Venom.
Good job, Doctor Strange.
It got rid of all of Flash Thompson's books of his relationship with his best friend, Spider-Man.
Peter Parker.
Yeah. It got rid of that, but not that little bit of Venom. It wiped Spider-Man and Peter Parker from all the hard drives that are at all the news stations. But not that little bit of Venom.
Nope.
Flash Thompson, who does become a version of Venom in the comics. Now again, they would have had to know that Peter Parker was Spider-Man in order to have warped into the MCU to begin with, which is why that one line in the Carnage post-credit scene was so important.
80 billion light years of hive knowledge across universes would explode your tiny little brain.
Hive knowledge across universes, and then the warp happened right after that. Therefore, among that multiversal hive knowledge was one universe where Venom knew that Peter was Spider-Man. Maybe even this symbiote chunk that's now in the MCU, since multiversal figures were warped in from various points in time being a flat circle. But let us now move on to this trailer for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of
Can't think about it too hard, okay?
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's fun. It's a comic book film. You know, you're dealing with fantasy, right?
Yeah.
And so anything is allowed, honestly. Logic can be thrown right out the window. It's a very thin veil.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like you need some logic.
Yeah.
You don't have to have all the logic.
Right. And I think sometimes I struggle with that because I start to break it down. I'm like, okay, wait, what?
You would be a much happier person if you just didn't break it down all that hard.
Right.
Like, just go through life like me. Just, oh, okay, Venom got left behind. Cool, that's fine.
There are certain things that you accept and then certain things you start to question, like Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker had the Sandman, anti-Sandman, whatever it was called, that goes and then turned him back into a person. But it didn't affect his cellular whatever.
The technology is so advanced. Did you not know that there were 3 nerds working on these cures?
So that bothered me. But the part where he's, thwipping around, that doesn't bother me. When you have a story where, a person is a Spider-Man and is thwipping around the city from his wrist or with technology, which is impossible because these little cartridges last him throughout the city. These cartridges are very small. Have you ever ran out of printer ink? It's
sucks.
It is impossible. And if I can accept that, I should accept the Sandman thing. I should accept the little piece of Venom being left behind all the same. It's cool. Get left behind. That makes sense, just like anything else.
Yeah, totally.
It's creepy as hell. Actually, forget the simile. This might actually just be hell. The trailer opens on the steps of Carnage as autumn leaves float past and candles flicker out. We hear dialogue from earlier in No Way Home, Wong's debate with Strange over the spell, when Wong says, "It's too dangerous." And then Strange chides Peter, saying, "We tampered with the stability of space-time. The multiverse is a concept about which we know frighteningly little." Now, interestingly, No Way Home confirmed that Wong now holds the rank of Sorcerer Supreme on the technicality that Strange was blipped for 5 years. An apparent retcon of the endgame script that listed Wong among the snap victims. I guess that would explain why Wong was the one who presided over the Avengers and Shang-Chi, and suggests that Strange might be a bit more vulnerable than we thought. Then there's a close-up of Strange's broken watch, which in the 2016 Doctor Strange film symbolized Strange's own unhealable wound of his hands, which initially led his pursuit of the mystic arts, and something that he eventually let go of as he put his soul over his body. Strange's face is reflected in that watch's broken face, broken glass, now kind of symbolizing a shattered reality in the MCU and reflecting how this Strange exists in a broken reality, broken from his own actions. Then we hear the voice of Mordo saying, "Your desecration of reality will not go unpunished." Remember, Mordo was salty over the way the Ancient One flirted with dark dimension magic.
She taught us it was forbidden, while she drew on its power to steal centuries of life. She did what she thought was right. The bill comes due.
An anger that he carried on into the post-credit scene.
Too many sorcerers.
Then Strange goes through a snowy gate to realize the gothic steeple of a skyscraper is detached from its building as various other buildings seem to melt up into the sky. The visuals actually look like live-action versions of what we saw in What If Episode 4, when that universe's Doctor Strange tried to bypass an absolute point in time and caused all of reality to melt into inky nothingness. Whoa. Something similar may have happened in the live-action MCU. Perhaps Doctor Strange's initial spell in the way it caused the multiversal anomalies, or maybe in the way they fixed that crisis by sending home redeemed villains and therefore altering those timelines so those people would not die when maybe those people were supposed to. But we hear Strange say it was the only way, which recalls when he told Tony Stark after the snap in Infinity War,
"There was no other way."
So the bill coming due for Strange may also have been his inspiring Tony Stark that there was one path to victory over Thanos that allowed Tony to kill Thanos in Endgame, but that path also needed the Avengers and Loki to meddle with the time stream, and in doing so, perhaps breaking various absolute points in time that were fated.
Do you feel lost?
A little bit, yeah. I was kind of like, "Woo, my mind is getting blown."
What's confusing
now.
you?
Maybe it's not confusing. I'm just like, it's a lot of information to take in. I need it to sink in a little bit.
In a nutshell, Mordo has not given up on his path. He's turned his back on where he came from because he felt betrayed.
Is that what he's saying? I just thought that it was all about Mordo warning him that the bill always comes due. There are always repercussions to your actions, right? And the thing that Eric was saying about them sending back cured versions of the villains in order for them to be able to live and live their lives would have probably affected the timeline in a very, very big way. Because imagine, the butterfly effect to send back people who were supposed to die. How Doctor Strange said in the beginning of the movie, something about their sacrifices need to happen for the timeline, right? So if they go back and they live a life and they do stuff, like maybe they come up with some new technology or things and it drastically changes history.
Yeah. So what are you confused about? Because it seems like you just explained it to yourself really well.
But then Strange ascends the sanctum stairs as he can see stormy seawater flooding the floor, and his voiceover says, "I never meant for any of this to happen." Then a shot of Wanda Maximoff with an orb of red chaos magic in her hand. Then we see Christine Palmer on her wedding day walking down the aisle as Strange watches from the pews with Dr. Nick West. Steve should be on the altar. Strange and Christine left things platonically in the 2016 film, but the What If episode cast them as doomed Stark star-crossed lovers. Perhaps Christine met someone new during the blip, and Strange now feels like the right one got away. Then a scary crow, followed by a woman in a star jacket. This is America Chavez, aka Miss America, played by Xochitl Gomez. She comes from the Utopian Parallel. She's a badass who kicks portals through dimensions as she's looking for her moms that are basically disintegrated particles that are part of the multiverse now. Then we see Wong looking bloody and wounded, followed by a shot of Strange screaming, falling through a prismy portal. But then we pivot as we glide across an estate that's covered with an orchard of white blossoming trees. I want to say dogwoods, not a florist though. Wanda is there trimming the flowers, and she tells Strange, I made mistakes and people were, but Strange cuts her off. I'm not here to talk about Westview. Then she says, what are you here for? He says, we need your help. With what? What do you know about the multiverse? When we last saw Wanda Maximoff, she was leaving Westview behind in the WandaVision final episode, having dropped her hex that trapped Westview's residents under her sitcom-inspired brainwash, leaving all of them pissed off. So this newly empowered Scarlet Witch exiled herself in a remote mountain cabin where she used astral projection to search the Darkhold for a reality where her children still exist. And in this moment, we heard the Doctor Strange theme music as Wanda heard her kids crying out for her. So yes, this clarifies that Strange does know about Westview. And remember, the WandaVision producers said that a Doctor Strange cameo was at least planned for the show, and that the commercials we saw in each episode were intended to be messages from Doctor Strange, thus the Ask Your Doctor reference. But this estate looks far away from that mountain cabin. Maybe Wanda is moving place to place, or given the order and perfection of those trees and Strange's curious reaction to the setting, maybe this is another pocket reality of Wanda's creation, one where she can truly be alone. Then we see a hatch opening, like a hatch that you'd see on a ship, but it opens to this fantastical setting that Strange looks out upon from a chunk of brick wall. Behind him are Wanda and America Chavez. This setting might actually be the Utopian Parallel where America comes from. Then we see Mordo, his hair grown out in dreadlocks, and he tells Strange, I'm sorry, Stephen, I hope you understand. And Kamar-Taj gets overtaken with a foreboding cloud. Darkness descends upon Strange and Wong. It's not clear how much of a villain Mordo will be in the story. He is traditionally an antagonist to Doctor Strange, and we know he disagrees with their philosophy about using magic, but I doubt he will be the ultimate villain of the story. Then
his whole thing is purity, because he was told a certain way. It's almost like the separation of Martin Luther from the Catholic Church. He has what he believes in his mind is the right path, and this over here is misleading. Corrupt. It's corrupt. It's not right. For him, it's basically an overcorrection. You know what I mean?
Then we see the Scarlet Witch hosting a seance in a ring of candles, floating in her true Scarlet Witch outfit that she made for herself after powering up, absorbing Agatha Harkness's power in WandaVision. We don't know exactly what Wanda's role will be in the story, if she may end up being a kind of villain, but we are keeping an eye out for any parallels with the House of M storyline, which is the big Scarlet Witch storyline in the comics, where she resets reality chaotically, trying to find a reality where her children exist. And the storyline ends with her declaring no more mutants, erasing a lot of mutants from reality. And we think in the MCU, we may see a kind of reversal of that, where she says something like, let there be mutants, and mutants now exist in this reality, so she can have her brother and her kids back. Strange and Mordo duel, explosions tear through the Kamar-Taj courtyard, Wong rises to his feet, and then Strange conjures an array of red orbs from the sanctum floor. These look a lot like the orbs that Wanda conjured in the WandaVision post-credits scene, and with those tethers connecting them all, this may be a depiction of interconnected worlds in the multiverse. Then Strange faces this huge tentacled monster in the street. Many of us believe that we'd be seeing Shuma Gorath in this movie, but this is actually the sea monster of Gargantos, according to leaks of Lego sets. Gargantos is an old school Namor villain, and he may have actually come in with that flooding water through the sanctum floor. It just sounds like this is gonna be a big monster movie, and Doctor Strange is gonna have to deal with a lot of interdimensional beasts.
The distinguishment between the different tentacle creatures, to me, is as strange, no pun intended, as the distinguishment between different species of ants. Like they all look the same to me. They all look the same.
I'm sorry, interdimensional creatures that I cannot see the difference, but you all look very similar.
Yeah, exactly.
Gargantos throws a bus at Strange with an ad for Cafe La Llave Espresso, unlock a better day. Maybe the joke being that this threat to Strange is just something he has to face for breakfast every day. He uses a spell to slice the bus in half, protecting himself and America Chavez. Hope no one was on that bus. You just pulled a Cersei, my friend. And then as Mordo says, the greatest threat to our universe is you, Strange finds himself in this alternate sanctum, sick gothic decor, harp, piano. That's my man. man cave, all looks out on a swirling cloud. Strange meets an alternate version of himself, a darker, sexier variant who smiles and says things just got out of hand. Now, my first assumption was that this could be Strange Supreme, whom we last saw in the What If finale, locked in a pocket dimension, overseeing an inner pocket dimension at the behest of the Watcher to keep Killmonger Infinity and Zola Ultron locked in an eternal tug of war over the Infinity Stones. But I'm not sure this is Strange Supreme, just because this guy's got a different abode. He seems far more devilish than Strange Supreme ended up being. Strange Supreme was just more driven by love and desperation for power to break an absolute point, but for love. This guy seems more evil. But also notice the other Strange, specifically his eye. Bully Maguire just put some dirt in that eye, a purple color. So this might not actually be the same variant we started with. We could be seeing a lot of Doctor Stranges.
That could just be a reflection.
Nah.
No?
I don't know.
Eyes reflect everything.
Purple? What's purple in there?
I don't know.
It's so dark. What are you reflecting?
The room is
darkness?
colorful. I don't know.
Speaking about the room, though, is it just me, or does it kind of look like Kang's room in Loki? Am I crazy? Or what's the He Who Remains? Whatever. You know what I'm talking about, right? It was kind of giving me that vibe.
A similar color, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe it's just like because of the darkness and that kind of gothic furniture and whatever. I was kind of getting that feeling. I might be wrong.
I don't think it's related.
Probably not.
I think it's just a style to indicate a feeling.
Yeah.
Subconsciously, like, this is not good.
Yes. Well, I definitely got that feeling.
Yeah, it's foreboding.
Foreboding. Yes. Good job, set designers.
Exactly.
We've seen a lot of Doctor Stranges. This one could be imbued with power from the Dark Dimension. The same kind of magic Agatha Harkness might have been channeling. Ultimately, I think what this tells us is that Multiverse of Madness is going to be a story with a ton of Doctor Stranges, similar to what we saw in Loki, which is really a show about the various Loki variants. Doctor Strange could end up having to face his many alternate selves, each of whom were born out of the times he violated fate. In the 2016 Doctor Strange, in Infinity War, in Endgame, and in No Way Home, there could be as many as 14,605 Doctor Stranges he has to deal with. Except each of these variants are all master sorcerers who can each change the fabric of reality in their own way.
Wow.
So that could be why Doctor Strange needs these other Nexus beings. The Scarlet Witch, America Chavez, and who knows, maybe Loki and Sylvie too. All of these sorcerers to help pay the bill that has now come due.
I would say I trust in Marvel and let it be that, but I have been burned a couple times. I'm just really hoping that this isn't a big fustercluck. I'm hoping that this is done in such a way that it leaves me as happy as I was when I watched the original Doctor Strange.
Sure, yeah.
There's a movie called The Sixth Day with Arnold Schwarzenegger where you get kind of tricked into believing that you're following the lead character or the main Arnold Schwarzenegger, but then you find out you're actually following a clone. My point being is, what the hell's going on? Like, are we...
Well, it's called the Multiverse of Madness, right? And I feel like maybe they're just going to dive deep into, like he said, all the different Strange variants, and maybe he's losing his mind, and it is just kind of like a trippy, strange, crazy movie,
I mean, we're going to need a primary Strange to follow.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Like, we need a storyline. It can't just be
chaos.
like rando. Yeah, like chaos.
In any case, what made me happy in watching this is like, this thought hit me. It's so cool that you have someone as talented as Benedict Cumberbatch fully embracing this shit.
Yeah.
He is giving, it's not just legitimacy to it, but just the quality. It's very theatrical, but in the best of ways. Like when you see him for the first time as evil Doctor Strange or whatever that is, that variant, it's so cool.
Yeah.
There's something so dope about just seeing him be that person.
I feel like he probably had a lot of fun.
I hope so.
Playing all the characters.
I hope so.
Watching the gag reel from Doctor Strange, it seems like he had a blast.
I really enjoyed this breakdown because that teaser was not very long, and he managed to really take apart all the little things that I kind of fly by, especially when you're watching it in a theater. You can't pause and play, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, even down to the thing when Doctor Strange was wielding the different orbs that are around him, and those could each be a different reality or something like that.
Yeah.
The detail of what's coming off the building, and its relationship to What If, and how it's kind of like that when everything was falling apart in that world. It didn't look the same to me, but I get how he's making that connection.
Sure.
It's like this is a live action version, and so it's going to have its own appearance. I prefer the live action version by far because it looks so much cooler. It's like that particle effect. I really wish that we got the Doctor Strange cameo in WandaVision. I mean, I'm hoping that we see some awesome cameos in this movie. Including like Loki and whatnot. That'd be so cool.
That would be so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd all lose our damn minds. Especially, I mean, if Doctor Strange had showed up as suspected in WandaVision, Can you imagine?
Yeah.
We all would have just been flipping out. Like, oh my God.
You and I already know some of the cameos that are going to appear in this movie. Or
Yes.
You saw it. Yeah. Okay. So we got some exclusive looks at stuff that, yeah. And it's hard to navigate this part of the conversation. Basically, blank, 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 blank. This is Joey talk from Friends.
Lots of blanks, but it's going to be dope.
Yeah, we saw basically.
But it could have changed.
It could have changed, but what I saw, it was a spoiler, but it got me so pumped. I'm like, oh my God, they're doing that in the movie? Oh God. And so, yeah, I can't talk about it at all until someone else talks about it on the internet, but it's gonna be huge.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this movie.
What you're seeing in this teaser, and even the breakdown of it all, like that's got me pumped and got me excited. It's nothing compared to what you're actually gonna get in this movie. It's insane.
Yeah.
Regarding what you're saying about, Kang's headquarters or whatever it is, you might be onto something there because Marvel, like as evidenced with this video, Marvel is constantly making connections between stuff that looks similar, with the colors of stuff, like the purple in Doctor Strange's eye versus what's her name, her purple Agatha's magic and whatnot. Those colors have meaning, and so the fact that the appearance of the room is somewhat similar might be indicative of something. I mean,
maybe
the fact that Kang is at this like remote destination that is removed from everything, and is surrounded by whatever the hell that is.
Yeah.
It does have a similar appearance. And so, who knows? Who knows? Anything is possible in the multiverse of madness.
That's right.
So you might be onto something. I don't want to discount what you observed there.
Yeah, but most likely not. I mean, it was just something where I felt like it felt familiar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, I mean, Kang's going to be in the Ant-Man movie, so.
Kang might be everywhere. Going forward, I mean, he is the ultimate villain.
That's right.
So it wouldn't, I mean, as far as this phase goes, right? And so it wouldn't be surprising to me if he showed up in a post-credit scene in that movie.
Yeah, maybe. That would be very, very cool.
Killing off one of the variants of Doctor Strange.
No!
Just kidding. Well, it's just a variant. We have our main guy.
No variants were harmed in the making of this movie.
It could very well be like the end of Star Trek Nemesis. Did you ever watch that with Tom Hardy? Where Data gets killed, but then there's like another Data that's just brought back in at the end of the film. It's not quite the Data that we knew, but it's still Data.
Like a previous backup version?
Like a brother.
Oh. Okay.
Something weird.
Oh.
It's entirely possible that you kill off the main Doctor Strange to bring in a different Doctor Strange in this movie.
It's still Benedict, though.
It's still Benedict Cumberbatch.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
That's
yeah.
okay.
It's weird. Multiverse. It's madness. Madness, I tell you.
Madness.
So anyway, you guys, thanks so much for hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell icon, all notifications, and vote this up. Subscribe to New Rockstars if you haven't done that. Give the original video an upvote, please. I am Jaby Koay. This is
ACHARA KIRK.
Peace out.